You walk into a room and stop dead in your tracks, completely forgetting why you entered. Or you find yourself searching for a word that you know is on the tip of your tongue, but it just won't come. For many of us over 60, these moments are often dismissed as senior moments or the inevitable decline of aging. But what if I told you that in many cases, your brain isn't strictly aging in the way you fear, but rather it is starving? There is a silent crisis happening in the bodies of millions of seniors right now, a phenomenon researchers call hidden hunger. You might be eating enough calories, perhaps even too many, but your brain is crying out for specific microscopic fuels that are essential for firing neurons, preserving memory, and stabilizing your mood. The reality is that as we age, our ability to absorb nutrients changes, our gut chemistry shifts, and the efficiency of our biological machinery slows down. When your brain lacks critical minerals, it doesn't send you a text message. Instead, it sends vague, frustrating signals, fog, fatigue, anxiety, and forgetfulness that we tragically mistake for permanent decline. The good news and the promise I want to make to you right now is that this is not a one-way street. By identifying these 7 warning signs and understanding the specific minerals your brain is begging for, you can reignite that spark. We are going to walk through the science of neuronutrition together, looking at the hard data, and I will give you the practical tools to turn the lights back on upstairs. Before we dive into this essential list, I want to invite you to join our community here. If you are looking for health advice that respects your intelligence and focuses on empowerment rather than fear, consider subscribing. We are building a space where we refuse to accept getting old as an excuse for poor health. Also, I would love to know who I am talking to today. Drop a comment below and tell me where you are watching from. It is always incredible to see how global this community has become. Let's get right into the first major warning sign, which is perhaps the most common complaint I hear from people over 60. This is the sensation of being tired but wired, where you feel mentally exhausted, yet your brain won't shut off, often accompanied by a low-level hum of anxiety or irritability. This is the hallmark signal that your brain is critically low on magnesium. We often think of magnesium as a muscle mineral, something for leg cramps, but in reality, it is the master switch for your nervous system. Magnesium is responsible for over 600 biochemical reactions in your body, but its role in the brain is to regulate neurotransmitters, which are the chemical messengers that send signals throughout your body. Think of your brain like a high performance engine. If that engine runs hot all the time without coolant, it eventually seizes up. Magnesium is that coolant. It acts as the gatekeeper for the NMDA receptors, which are found on your nerve cells and aid in brain development, memory, and learning. When you are low on magnesium, these calcium channels stay open, allowing calcium to flood the nerve cells and overstimulate them. This overstimulation kills nerve cells and leads to that frazzled, anxious feeling. The science backs this up powerfully. A fascinating study published in the Times Journal of the American College of Nutrition Times highlighted that magnesium deficiency is statistically significantly correlated with higher rates of depression and anxiety in older adults, suggesting that restoring levels can have a rapid recovery effect on mood and cognitive stabilization. When you lack this mineral, you aren't just tired, you are chemically unable to relax. So what do? We need to look past just popping a generic pill. We want to introduce magnesium-rich foods into your daily routine. Dark leafy greens like spinach and Swiss chard are excellent, but pumpkin seeds are a true powerhouse here. Just a small handful provides a massive dose. If you are considering supplementation, look for magnesium glycinate or threonate, as these forms cross the blood-brain barrier much more effectively than cheaper forms like oxide. Moving seamlessly to the second warning sign, we need to talk about that frustrating feeling of brain fog coupled with a subtle loss of sensory sharpness. Have you noticed that food doesn't taste as vibrant as it used to? Or perhaps you find yourself getting sick more often and your thinking feels like wading through molasses. This specific combination is a screaming red flag for a zinc deficiency. Zinc is the trace mineral that acts as the architect of your brain structure. It is highly concentrated in the hippocampus, the area of the brain responsible for learning and memory. Imagine your brain's neurons are like a vast telephone network. Zinc is the technician that ensures the lines are clear and the connections are soldered tight. Without it, the signals get fuzzy. As we age, our intake and absorption of zinc tend to plummet, and the consequences are measurable. Research conducted by scientists at the Times, University of Toronto Times, and published in the journal Times Nutrients Times found that zinc deficiency actually mimics the aging process in the brain, accelerating distinct forms of neuronal death and cognitive decline. They discovered that adequate zinc levels are essential for neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells, which was once thought impossible in older adults. If you are noticing that mental dullness, it is time to inspect your diet. Oysters are the most potent source of zinc on the planet, but if shellfish isn't your preference, beef, pumpkin seeds, and lentils are fantastic alternatives. The actionable takeaway here is balance. You don't need massive doses, but you need consistency. Adding a serving of lean red meat or a handful of cashews to your weekly rotation can help rebuild those synaptic connections and clear the fog. As we continue down our list, the third warning sign is one that is often misdiagnosed as simple old age fatigue. I am talking about a heavy, dragging mental lethargy where focusing on a book or a conversation feels like lifting a heavy weight. You might feel physically okay, but your mental stamina is at zero. This is frequently a sign that your brain is oxygen starved due to a lack of iron. Now, we usually associate iron with anemia and physical weakness, but the brain is the most oxygen hungry organ in your body. It consumes 20% of your oxygen despite being only 2% of your weight. Iron is the vehicle that transports that oxygen. If your iron levels dip even slightly, your brain effectively starts suffocating. It prioritizes survival functions over higher level thinking, leaving you with poor concentration and apathy. This is not just speculation. The data is incredibly strong here. A pivotal study from Times Penn State University, Times focused specifically on older women and found that even moderate iron deficiency was associated with significantly slower cognitive performance and longer reaction times. The remarkable part of the study was that when these iron levels were corrected, cognitive performance improved, proving that this decline was reversible. However, a word of caution is necessary here. Unlike other vitamins, you should not supplement iron blindly, as too much can be toxic for seniors. You want to get this from food first, unless a doctor tells you otherwise. Dark leafy greens, red meat, and organ meats like liver are superior sources. To make this effective, pair these iron-rich foods with vitamin C, like squeezing lemon juice over your spinach, which acts like a key, unlocking the iron so your body can actually absorb it. Let's shift gears to the fourth warning sign, which is a bit more subtle but equally disrupting. Have you ever felt a sense of brain static, where your thoughts just don't connect, or you feel a strange sense of confusion that comes and goes? You might also notice muscle weakness or heart palpitations along with it. This points us toward potassium. We often talk about potassium for blood pressure, but in the brain, potassium is the battery fluid. It regulates the electrical signals that allow nerve cells to communicate. Every single thought, memory, or movement you have is essentially an electrical impulse. Potassium, working in tandem with sodium, maintains the voltage across your cell membranes. If potassium levels drop, that voltage weakens and the signals misfire. It's like trying to listen to a radio station that isn't quite tuned in. You get the gist, but there is a lot of static. A comprehensive study published in a journal Times, Stroke Asterisk, which is a publication of the American Heart Association, analyzed thousands of seniors and found that higher potassium intake was associated with a significantly lower risk of stroke and, crucially, a slower rate of cognitive decline over time. The researchers noted that potassium helps relax the blood vessels in the brain, ensuring optimal blood flow and electrical conductivity. The beauty of potassium is that it is incredibly easy to boost through diet, and it is almost impossible to overdose on it from food alone. While bananas are the famous poster child, they aren't actually the best source. Avocados, sweet potatoes, spinach, and coconut water are far superior. Try swapping your morning toast for half an avocado. You are essentially upgrading the battery life of your brain, allowing for clearer, sharper electrical signaling, we are over halfway through. And I hope you are starting to see the pattern here. Your body is a chemistry lab, and you are the head chemist. If you are finding these insights helpful, please take a second to hit that thumbs up button. It helps this information reach other seniors who might be struggling with these same hidden deficiencies. Now, let's tackle the fifth warning sign, which is deeply emotional. This is when you experience unexplained mood dips, a feeling of the blues that isn't clinical depression, but feels like a gray cloud over your day, often accompanied by a feeling of mental slowing. This is a classic signature of a selenium deficiency. Selenium is a trace mineral that acts as a bodyguard for your brain. Your brain is a hotbed of oxidative stress because it burns so much fuel, creating exhaust in the form of free radicals. Selenium produces powerful antioxidants that clean up this exhaust. Without selenium, oxidative stress accumulates and damages your brain cells, leading to mood instability and cognitive slowing. It is a protective shield that wears thin as we age. The scientific evidence connecting selenium to brain health is robust. The Times EVA study, Times Epidemiology of Vascular Aging, conducted in France, followed over 1,000 men and women aged 60 to 70. They found that those with the lowest plasma selenium levels had the highest rate of cognitive decline and were significantly more likely to experience depressive symptoms. The data suggests that keeping selenium levels optimized is a key strategy for preserving emotional and mental resilience. The fix for this is surprisingly simple. Nature has given us a selenium supplement in the form of the Brazil nut. And Brazil nuts are so potent in selenium that you actually have to be careful not to eat too many. Just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts a day provides all the selenium your brain needs to maintain that antioxidant shield. It is perhaps the easiest nutritional biohack available. Treat it like a prescription. 2 nuts once a day to keep the gray clouds at bay. Moving to number 6, we encounter a warning sign that often gets blamed on inner ear problems or just getting frail. I am referring to poor coordination, feeling physically off balance, or noticing that your handwriting has become messy and cramped. While these can be physical issues, neurologically, they often point to a lack of copper. Now, copper is a Goldilocks mineral. You don't want too much and you don't want too little. You need it just right. In the brain, copper is essential for the synthesis of neurotransmitters like dopamine, which controls movement and motivation. Think of copper as the conductor of an orchestra. It ensures that the timing of your movements and thoughts is synchronized. When levels drop, the timing gets thrown off. You might stumble more often or find that complex tasks like buttoning a shirt or typing become difficult. Research from the Times Department of Energy's Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, Times has done groundbreaking work mapping copper in the brain. They found that copper acts like a brake and gas pedal for neural signaling, specifically preventing the overfiring of neurons that can lead to burnout. Their data indicates that proper copper homeostasis is critical for preventing the neurodegeneration associated with diseases like Alzheimer's. Getting your copper balance right is about eating whole, unprocessed foods. Organ meats are the highest source, but for a more palatable daily option, dark chocolate is a fantastic choice. Yes, you heard me right. High quality dark chocolate, at least 70% cocoa, is rich in copper. Cashews and sunflower seeds are also excellent sources. So, enjoying a square of dark chocolate isn't just a treat. It's a way to help your brain conduct the complex symphony of movement and coordination. Finally, we arrive at the 7th warning sign. And this one is critical because it involves the speed of your processing. If you feel like your reaction times have slowed down, whether it is catching a falling object or following the plot of a fast-paced movie, you might be looking at a calcium deficiency affecting the brain. We have been drilled to think calcium equals bones, but calcium is essentially the bell ringer of the brain. It rushes into a nerve cell to trigger the release of neurotransmitters. It is the go signal. If your brain's calcium regulation is off, the go signal is delayed. You see the cup falling, you want to catch it, but your hand moves just a split second too late. It is a latency issue. The science of aging reveals that our regulation of brain calcium becomes disrupted over time. A study from Times Columbia University Medical Center, Times, shed light on this. showing that leaky calcium channels in the brain cells of older subjects were a primary driver of cognitive dysfunction. The study suggested that maintaining proper calcium balance, not just flooding the system, but ensuring it is regulated, is key to keeping those reaction times sharp. However, simply drinking gallons of milk isn't the answer, and excessive calcium supplements can sometimes be harmful to heart health in seniors. The key is getting calcium from sources that the body processes slowly and effectively, and ensuring you have enough vitamin D and K to direct that calcium to the right places like bones and neurons rather than your arteries. Sardines with the bones, leafy greens like kale and bok choy, and almonds are superior sources. They provide the calcium your brain needs to fire those go signals instantly, helping you stay sharp and reactive. So let's take a breath and look at the big picture here. We have covered 7 critical minerals: magnesium for relaxation and memory, zinc for sensory sharpness and structure, iron for mental energy, potassium for electrical signaling, selenium for mood and protection, copper for coordination, and calcium for processing speed. It can feel overwhelming to think about tracking all of these, but I want you to notice the common thread in the solutions: leafy greens, nuts, seeds, lean proteins, and dark chocolate. This isn't about buying 7 different bottles of pills. It is about realizing that the Western diet of processed beige foods is literally starving your brain of the tools it needs to function. By making a conscious effort to include these brain fuels in your daily life, you are doing more than just eating. You are engaging in a daily act of rebellion against decline. You are telling your body that you are not done yet. You are fixing the machinery. I want to leave you with this thought: your independence is the most valuable currency you have. We fight for our health, not just to live longer, but to live better, to be the one who remembers the story at the dinner table, the one who can drive themselves to the store, the one who feels vibrant and awake. You have the power to change your brain's destiny, one meal at a time. The science proves that plasticity, the ability of the brain to change and heal, exists until our very last breath, provided we give it the right raw materials. I am so curious to hear from you. Which of these 7 signs resonated with you the most? Did you realize that something like brain static could be linked to potassium, or that your mood dips might be a selenium issue? Let's start a conversation in the comments below. Share your experience, because your story might just be the encouragement someone else needs to read today. If you found value in this deep dive, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel, because your health is worth fighting for, and we are here to fight right alongside you. Remember, you are not fading away. You are just waiting for the right fuel to shine brighter than ever. Take care of that brilliant brain of yours, and I will see you in the next video.